Hello, I'm Robert Anthony Cowland, purely British, born in Northampton in 1942 with the bombs crashing around. Lucky to be here. We lived in a little town called Duston outside. My father at that particular time was running a factory in Northampton, building, I understand, parts of the Mosquito bombers. He'd always having been in the aircraft industry. We lived there through the war, but in 1946 we decided to move to South Wales, where my father acquired a factory there to carry on and building aircraft on a somewhat larger scale, and that's where we settled, in Cardiff, and in a nice town called Penarth, which is situated right on the sea, a lovely spot. That's where we began our idyllic childhood, just my sister and myself, who's a little year and a half younger than myself. We were sent off, of course, to a local kindergarten school, which were happy times, nice friends. Then we were both, of course, sent off to boarding school, and at about the age of 8. And I stayed at a little, in fact, I was educated at a small boarding school called Brightlands on Newnham-on-Severn, right on the banks of the Severn. Used to see the Severn Boar come up there. It was a great distraction. A nice school of about 80 boys, and I was there. We were quite an interesting, an eclectic bunch of people, very often from either living in South Wales but of course around Ross. I was at school with two of the Scudamores, one of the Sainsburys. I was there with what he called him Hooky Dunlop, John Dunlop, famous trainer, Gavin Hunter, who also went on to become a famous trainer. So quite an interesting collection. One of the Radcliffe shipping from Cardiff. So interesting friends. Returning to Cardiff and Penarth during the school holidays, Heather and I had a wonderful childhood. We had beautiful houses there. My parents liked moving all the time, and so we always had private dances and went to lots of interesting social events. So we were well taken care of. Then on to, and Heather went across to a boarding school in Weston-super-Mare, where my grandfather and maternal grandfather and family lived over there. The other side of the family lived in the Midlands, Warwickshire. I was sent off to a West Country public school where my uncle and my grandfather had been, Kelly College, which was public school, about 350 boys, and I had a reasonably nice time there. I got away with it because I was good at sport. I was quite a good, big, strong boy, but academically I was not the slightest bit interested. I was an absolute failure academically. In fact, I took my O-levels, 8 of them, and got one of them, handicrafts metalwork, and was made to take them all again, and I got another 2, I think, in which case my father then, in desperation, but to be fair, I think he just wanted me to go into the family business, didn't really care whether I was going to go to university, and the school didn't take any interest in me. I was good at sport, and that was enough. So they said Cowland's is going into the business, so we don't have to worry about him. But he thought, well, maybe I should have some more, so he dragged me off for an interview with Dr. Meyer, of course, at Millfield, and I was scheduled to go to Millfield for a year to be crammed, shall we say, but father decided that probably a waste of time and money, and so immediately leaving school I went off into engineering. I was shipped to one uncle or another into various rather uninteresting semi-apprenticeships, if you like. But it was not really to be. I was far too interested in sports cars. I couldn't have one, so I had to build my first one, and far too interested in girls and having a good time. I tasted a little bit of the luxury life too early, probably, and decided that I didn't really want to be on £3 and 6p a week for my apprenticeship pay, and I rebelled. In fact, I met a guy in town in Cardiff, and he had a nice white Mark 7 Jaguar, and we were drinking around, and I said, "What do you do, Tony?" He said, "I'm a ladies' hairdresser." He said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I've been a really boring job, and I don't really like it." And he said, "Well, you can come and work for me as an apprentice hairdresser." So I thought, good, that'll do fine. So he gave me a job, so I did all the massaging, the hair and everything. I was a great success with the middle-aged ladies, I think. So when I told my father, was wallpapering the bedroom at the time, I told him, he said, why haven't you been going to the 1 day a week at the university sandwich course? And I told him what I'd done. Well, my father was very conservative. I called him sir up till the age of 16, I think. Mother became matron when I came home from school. So this was the beginning of. He tried to get me back into engineering, and I went into work for another uncle in Cheltenham, and that didn't really work. I had far too good a time there. And then when my parents split, I was around about 19, 20 or something, and we went off on a holiday to the Balearic Islands, and we went to a place called Puerto Solier for a couple of weeks with some family friends, and I thought, boy, this is the life for me.